You have stood in front of the egg shelf at the store and felt something turn in your stomach at the price they are asking now. Or worse, you have stood before a shelf gone empty and wondered what on earth you would feed your family for breakfast. And you have done the other thing too, I would wager, the thing that grieves a thrifty soul the most of all. You have carried good eggs to the bin and thrown them out because they had sat too long in the icebox and you could not use a whole dozen fast enough before they turned. I am going to show you how to put a stop to all three of those troubles at the once for about $2, the way the women before us did it, long before there was ever an icebox to keep an egg in at all. I have eggs in my pantry this very moment, good eggs, that will be just as fit to eat 8 months from today as they are this morning, and there is no electric of any kind keeping them. My name is Elsie Yoder, a plain Amish grandmother here in Lancaster County, and this is one of the old ways I am the most glad to hand back to you, for it is plain, it is cheap, and it is very near forgotten. And for the whole of how we keep a home and a table for so much less than the English pay, it is all in the Amish Home Savings Guide, over at elsieyoderamish.com, the link just below. You need none of it for what I am about to show you. But first I want to tell you where this comes from, for the why of a thing is the better half of the keeping of it. There was a time, and it is nearer to us than you might think, when every farm wife in this country knew how to put eggs by for the winter. It was no secret and no special skill. It was as ordinary as putting up the beans. You see, the hens lay heavy through the warm months of the spring and the summer, far more eggs than a family can ever eat, and then they slow near to nothing in the cold and the dark of the winter, just when you want them most for your Christmas baking. So every sensible woman put up the summer's plenty against the winter's want. She kept a great crock of eggs down in the cool of the cellar, and it carried her family clear through to spring. My grandmother did it. Her mother did it before her. And then, in the years after the war, around 1945 and after, the electric refrigerator came into the ordinary home, and then the freezer behind it, and within one short generation, a thing that every woman had known became a thing that almost no one remembered. It was not taken from us. It was simply set down and forgotten because the machine made it seem we no longer had need of it. But the machine runs on power, and the power can fail, and the price of an egg can climb, and the old way asks for none of it. So let me hand it back to you. Now, to understand how an egg can keep for the better part of a year on a shelf, you have to understand one thing about the egg itself, and it will likely surprise you. An eggshell is not solid. It is covered all over with thousands of tiny pores, little holes far too small for the eye to see, that let the air pass in and out, for the chick inside a fertile egg must be able to breathe. And those very same pores are the trouble, for they let the air and the spoiling germs in just as easily as they let the breath out, and that is what turns an egg bad. But the hen, in her wisdom, gives every egg she lays a defense against exactly that. As the egg is laid, it comes coated in a fine, natural, invisible seal, an outer layer the old folks call the bloom. That bloom plugs up the pores and holds the air and the germs out, and a fresh egg with its bloom still on it will keep a good long while at a cool room temperature with nothing done to it at all. Now hear this part close, for it explains the whole of everything that follows. The eggs you buy at the store have been washed, scrubbed clean by a machine, and that washing strips the bloom right off and leaves every one of those little pores standing wide open. That is the whole reason a store egg must be kept cold in the icebox or it spoils on you fast, and it is the whole reason our old methods work. We are simply going to put the seal back on, by our own hand, the way the bloom did, so the egg keeps the way nature meant it to, and then some. The first and the best way for putting up a great many eggs at the once is the way they call water glassing. Now do not let the name trouble you. All it means is keeping the eggs down under a solution that seals them and holds the spoiling off. What you need is a thing called pickling lime, sometimes sold as hydrated lime, a white powder you will find sold cheap where the canning supplies are kept, in the grocery or the hardware store. A small box of it costs $1 or $2 and will put up eggs for years to come. You take a large crock, or a big glass jar, but never a metal one, for the lime and the metal do not agree. Into it you stir 1 ounce of the pickling lime, which is about a level tablespoon, for every quart of cool water you use, and you stir it well, though it will not all dissolve, and that is just fine. Then you lower your eggs down into it, gently, the pointy end down, and you keep adding more eggs as your hens give them through the season, always making sure the water covers the topmost eggs by a good inch or 2. Set the crock somewhere cool and dark and out of the way, the cellar or the back of a cool pantry. Lay a loose lid over to keep the dust out, and that is the whole of it. Those eggs will keep for 8 months, and well beyond, a year and more in a good cool cellar. When you want eggs, you simply reach down, lift a few out, rinse the lime off them clean under the tap, and use them as you always would. There is nothing more to it than that. 1 crock in the corner, and you have eggs all the winter long. Now, if you have not got a crock, or you only mean to put up a dozen or 2 at a time, there is a simpler old way, the grease method, and it works on the very same plain idea. You seal the pores back up by hand. You take your fresh, unwashed eggs, and you coat each one all over in a thin film of food-grade mineral oil, rubbing it on with your hands until the whole shell has a light, even coat. The old folks used lard or a bit of grease for this same purpose, but the mineral oil is cleaner and keeps the better. That coat does just what the bloom did, plugging the pores against the air. Then you set the eggs back into their carton, the pointy end down, and keep them in the coolest spot you have, a cellar or an unheated pantry, and turn the carton clean over now and again, every week or 2, to keep the yolk from settling against the side. Eggs put up this way will give you several good months. It is the easy way for a small lot, and it asks for nothing but a little oil and a few minutes of your evening. Now, whichever way you have kept them, you will want to know, before ever you crack one into your pan, that it is still good. And there is a plain old test for that which has never once failed. You fill a bowl or a tall glass with cool water, and you set the egg down into it. A good fresh egg is heavy, and it will sink and lie down flat on its side on the bottom. An older egg, still fine to eat but aging on, will stand up on its pointed end on the bottom, for a little pocket of air has grown inside it. But an egg that floats clear up and bobs on the top of the water, that egg has gone bad and filled with the gas of spoiling, and you throw it out. You do not crack it, you do not even smell it. You simply throw it away. Sinks, it is good. Stands up, use it soon. Floats, throw it out. Remember it that way, and you need never be afraid of an old egg again. Now, a few questions folks always think to ask, so let me answer them plain. First, do the eggs need to be fertile? Do you need a rooster? No, you do not. Any clean, unwashed egg keeps just the same, whether there was a rooster about or not. Second, will they taste of the lime or of the oil? No, they will not. You rinse the lime clean off before you use them, and the oil seals the outside only. A kept egg tastes like an egg. And third, folks ask if it is truly safe, and I will tell you honest in a moment, in both halves, for that is the only fair way. But before that, here is the one thing you must have right, or none of it works at all, so listen close. The eggs you put up must be fresh, and clean, and above all else unwashed, with their bloom still upon them, and not a one of them cracked. That means eggs straight from your own hens if you keep them, or from a farmer or a neighbor down the road who does not wash his eggs. The eggs from the store will not keep this way, for they have already been washed, their bloom already scrubbed away, and the spoiling already let in, and no method on this earth puts a stripped egg back to new. If an egg should come to you a little dirty, do not wash it. Wipe it gently with a dry cloth, and use that one soon rather than putting it up. So this is one more good reason to find yourself a few hens, or a farmer who keeps them, for the unwashed farm egg is the only egg that keeps, and it is the better egg besides. Now I will give you both halves of it honest, the good and the plain, for I will not oversell you, and an egg is no thing to be careless with. The good half you have heard, 8 months and more, with no electric, for $2, and eggs all the long winter through. The honest half is this: a long-kept egg is a fine egg for your cooking and your baking, for your scrambling and your cakes and your breads and your custards, and you will not tell the least difference. But the white of it does thin a little with the months, so it is not the egg for a pretty poached breakfast, nor a tall meringue. Keep your freshest eggs for those. And always, always crack each kept egg into a small bowl by its own self first, before ever you add it to the others, and give it a good look and a smell. If one is ever off, and it will be a rare thing, you have lost the one egg and not the whole bowl. And the plainest rule of all, the one my own mother gave me: when in doubt, throw it out. An egg costs pennies. It is never worth a doubt. And one word of care on the lime itself, for it is a real thing and no toy. The pickling lime is a touch caustic, much like a strong soap. So you wear your gloves when you mix it up, you do not breathe in the dry dust of it, and you keep the box up high and away from the little ones, the same as you would any cleaner. Once it is mixed into the water, and the eggs are down under it, it is gentle and safe to reach into. It is only the dry powder you must mind. Treat it with that plain respect, and it will serve you faithfully for years. So here is what I would have you do. If you keep a few hens, or you know a soul who does, put up a crock this very summer, while the eggs are many and cheap, and you will eat like a king all the winter for next to nothing. And then come down here and tell me, in the comments, what county you live in, and whether you keep a few hens of your own, for I am always glad to know how many of you are coming back round to the old self-reliant ways, and I do read every one, and know there is nothing clever in any of this. It is only remembered, the women who kept these houses before us were not one bit wiser than you and I are. They simply could not run to a store in the deep of January, and so they could not afford to forget how to keep the summer's plenty against the winter's want. Teach it to one young soul setting up a first home, for that is how this knowing has stayed alive all these years, not in any book, but handed from one pair of hands down to the next. Next time, the good Lord willing, I will show you how we keep the potatoes and the carrots and the apples sound and crisp down in the cellar clear to spring, with no cold box at all. Until then, mind the old ways, and God keep you all.